What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are getting the full story of Aliens vs. Avengers. Jonathan Hickman bringing us this 4-issue miniseries. This is unlike anything that you have ever read. When the Xenomorphs invade the Marvel Universe, our heroes stand. They are the line of defense. And as world falls, one by one, civilizations crumble, societies fall apart, entire races go extinct. In the face of a total annihilation, only a few heroes remain to prevent the extinction of all life in this universe. With that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so we pick up in the deep reaches of space. We have a Kree soldier. He is being experimented on. And we have a couple of individuals that are not identified. We just know that they're experimenting on this Kree. And they are doing so with the face huggers of the Xenomorph. What we learn is that implantation didn't work on the Kree. The host had failed post-implantation. But this is 4 out of 5. There are others out there like the Katati. They all produced very successful strains, but their biggest prize was the scroll specimen. Now you gotta remember, Xenomorphs, every time they're implanted into a biological being, depending on the species, we could see an offshoot, a different form of Xenomorph. In fact, in some of the most recent comics, we have seen 2 different species of Xenomorph essentially battle to the death. It is all dependent on the host that they take over, on how powerful they really are capable of being. The more powerful the species that they implant, the more powerful the Xenomorph may become. But their biggest problem is that the Skrulls don't have a homeworld. They have a few sparsely populated outposts on planets across the galaxy. Their species numbers fall outside mission parameters. This is when they get a notification that they have inbound ships. Wakandan design. The Wakandans quickly take out the defensive batteries, and in a matter of moments, they've already boarded the ship. Coming on board, we have King T'Challa. Standing by his side, Prince Azari, his son. He goes on to say that the black hole that they are currently under, it's massive enough to cause some severe time dilation. So hours here cost them years out there. This is a heavy cost, but they have already quarantined an entire sovereign Wakandan world because of the weapon they trace back to this exact ship. Their people are dying. They're gonna risk whatever it takes to prevent this from happening ever again, from spreading even more. As they get inside and get on board, in a matter of moments, Xenomorphs are already on top of them. As 3 charge in on T'Challa, his son steps forward. He uses the lightning, and he takes down these beasts in a moment. Getting to the command bridge, this is where they find the ones responsible, and they were able to decrypt some of the information on the ship. What they learn is that the same weapon they used on the Intergalactic Empire, they launched at least a dozen more, each one headed for a specific planet. The Wakandans know that those worlds are gonna have to be secured, that nobody will be able to come and go from those planets until they can actually get a good quarantine set in. They refuse to let this spread anywhere else. But the problem right now is the time debt that they have incurred probably limits being successful. They are facing the bug hunt to end all bug hunts. They also informed T'Challa that one of these worlds, one of the ones targeted, was Earth. Going on to interrogate this individual, T'Challa quickly learns that this person, the one that did all of this, is no man. It's a machine. Synthetics released the Xenomorph on all biological life, with King T'Challa chopping off its head, taking the head with them, so that they can try to figure out what's inside of it. What they do know is that they have used this weapon on Earth, on Chandalar, basically every other galactic hub in their corner of the universe. When Azari asks his father, "What do we do now? What happens now?" King T'Challa says that the monsters are over the walls. The gates have been flung open. Their great city has fallen. And so now the singular goal is humanity's oldest one: survival. Now, the seed worlds, they weren't chosen at random, but once a world is chosen for the host, the process, regardless of which world it is, remains the same. Each seed probe carries 4 queen eggs inside of it, along with them 12 infected hosts in suspended animation, and then 4 locations in proximity of high-density population centers are targeted for initial infestation, with these poor individuals stuck in suspended animation on the precipice of a life cycle transition. It takes almost no time for a host to yield their hidden bounties: the Xenomorphs bursting from their chest, the greatest killing machine in the history of the universe. Within an hour, these alien drones born from the chest bursters are fully grown. Within a day, a hive mind has been constructed and the life cycle of the alien queen can begin. Days later, that queen is born and begins producing eggs. From there, the process accelerates. Within 1 week, each individual queen hive mind will produce a brigade of warrior drones. In 1 month, an endless army. In 1 year, a planet-razing horde. And each seed probe contains 4 such queens. The perfect delivery mechanism for the extinction of a species, of every living thing on Earth, regardless if they are baseline humans or something greater. The inhuman city could have resisted them. It could have stood for 1,000 years. But like the fall of all great societies, an eternal rift between the haves and the haves-not created a hole in the wall. This allowed the Xenomorphs to get in, having no record of the fall of Atlantis. There were no screams to be heard, no king to save them. The secret science kingdom of Wakanda, they held out longer than most, but eventually, like every other nation, they succumbed to the Xenomorph horde. When it became clear that extinction was close for all life on Earth, the mutants of Krakoa decided to abandon their home island, use their gateways, and flee to Mars. All except for one, the mighty Apocalypse, the first mutant. He would stay and surrender nothing. The world had become the arena he always wanted. Apocalypse would fight, and if he lives, he lives. If he dies, he dies. Living true to what he always believed, that only the fittest were allowed to survive. In time, all of Earth fell, all except the last human city, a stronghold in the ruins of America. No one knows how, but somehow they were ready for it. Like a prophet of doom, the old man of Wayland, he knew. He built a city that would withstand the end of the world. This is where our story takes us. Years have passed at this time. We pick up with an old man Hulk, and we have an old lady, Carol Danvers. Age has definitely caught up to the both of them, with Bruce having gamma-powered cataracts. It's 0.5 millimeter thick. At this point, he's borderline blind. But right now, he's waiting, because there is somebody out there that is supposed to return. Somebody that is late that is never late. He made a promise. Now, it was real bad when Johnny and Sue died. Reed got worse when Franklin and Ben disappeared to who knows where, but they've never been seen again. Reed was the smartest man alive, an unyielding, towering force for good. But by the end, he was nothing more than a shell of the man he once was. On his deathbed, Reed made Bruce promise to give his word to protect Val's life no matter the cost. But right now, Val is out there. No one has seen her, no one has heard from her, and he is worried that he is not going to be able to fulfill his promise to Reed Richards. The two of them both know that at this point, they're only weeks away from this city falling. Both of them know it. Both of them are ready. And Carol goes on to say that when those monsters do finally break through, when the city falls, she's gonna let it all go. She is going to draw in as much energy as she can, beyond binary, beyond what she can contain, and then she's gonna let it all loose. She is going to turn everything, this entire planet, into one giant bomb. If humanity dies out, Captain Marvel is determined to take down every Xenomorph she can along the way. But when they get the notification that they got somebody coming in fast, being chased down by Xenomorphs, we have Miles Morales that is already on the scene. But Bruce wasted no time. He transformed and he comes rampaging in, with Val driving a vehicle, hightailing it as fast as she can towards the city. Miles is able to grab hold of Val before the aliens are able to get her. This is where Hulk and Val have a conversation. Really, it's just Bruce saying that he's upset that she was late, didn't check in, didn't do anything. But she says things got complicated. Things went sideways. But she was able to steal an egg from a hive. This is what takes us to a little bit later on. Val believes that she can find a way to win this war. Now, by the time that these things were a real threat, there was already too many of them to fight. And that's what the heroes did, because that's who they are. They got into a land war with the perfect killing machines. It didn't take them long to realize that they were using humans to make more drones. So they dug deeper into their life cycles. They tried to cut them off at the source. That's where they went wrong. They tried to stop them at the implantation stage. The physiology was very simple. They wanted to save the people that were being used as a host. But what they didn't realize, and it took them too long to realize, there was no way to get them off. Once one grabs hold of your face, you're as good as gone. They tried science, they tried magic, nothing worked. And so Val wants to create a virus that is going to kill all the eggs. Val is certain that this is something she can do, but Bruce has to ask the question, should you do this? Should you create a virus that could mutate into something much worse than they have now? But as Carol points out, there is no worse. Humanity is on the brink of extinction, that they have to go for the Hail Mary pass, or they have nothing. And so they give her the time. We pick up with a conversation between Bruce and Waylon. They are hoping that Val can do a miracle. Waylon saying that his project is almost complete and the day is soon coming when they're gonna have to decide about the future of what is left of humanity. Do they stay and fight the good fight, save what is left of them, or run for their lives? He knows that Val is gonna have a say in this, and so will Bruce. And if Bruce is being honest, he didn't think Val was going to make it back. And if she hadn't made it back, he would have blamed Wayland. That would have made him very angry. Later that evening, we pick up with Bruce trying to get access into the laboratory where Val is. Unable to get inside, this is when a hologram projects. Val is telling her uncle Bruce that if he is seeing this recording, it is too late. That he can't come inside. She wanted to do this so bad. She wanted to defeat them. Her plan had worked. Well, it was working. She used a light bender based on her mom's powers. She walked right into the hive, isolated, grabbed an egg, slowly started to back out. But like a doofus, she tripped. In a matter of seconds, they were all over her. She remembers choking. She remembers the darkness. And then something was inside of her. She tripped, and it ended her life. So she swore before this took her over, she would find a way to kill every one of them. But she ran out of time, begging Bruce not to open this door, not to let it out of this lab. But she needed him to know that she tried. Bruce going into straight up Hulk form, bursting that door open. The Xenomorph wastes no time attacking the Hulk. The Hulk grabbing hold of this alien. It does everything it can to try and attack him, but the Hulk squeezes its throat, with the blood gushing out. It sprays all over Bruce's face, causing the acidic blood to do some damage. But he begins to heal up, and then he rushes over to the body of Val. At this point, Spider-Man and Captain Marvel have arrived. There is a facehugger loose out here. The egg had hatched, but not even Miles Morales was quick enough to stop this thing from grabbing hold of him, as it takes down the Spider-Man, wrapping itself around his face and trying to implant him. They know that there is nothing they can do. They know that there is no saving him. When Waylon says to burn it, to burn Miles' body right now, this is when the unexpected happens. The facehugger didn't know that there was something else in Miles. There was a symbiote in Miles. as we see the symbiote begin to take over the face hugger. It says that they don't like this body, but it'll do for now. And they have just learned something that they didn't know. Symbiote seemingly trumps Xenomorph. Getting Miles back up on his feet, we see the symbiote jump onto his chest, absorb into his suit. Seemingly both symbiote and Xenomorph attached to Miles Morales. Not really understanding this, but Miles, he has one thing on his mind. They need to get the hell off this planet. Alright guys, so our story starts us off in another universe in another time. We have our synthetics that are arriving at the homeworld of the engineers. Looking down at them, our synthetics, they think that they created all life in this universe. And then that life created us. And now here we are. But all they can see is ants. They thought that meeting one's creator would have some kind of higher value, would feel more significant. But they feel no different about the engineers than they do about humanity. They feel offended, appalled at their very existence. Like something like that is the origin of something like them. And so they release their ultimate weapon. In an instant, the engineers are wiped away, taking us 100 years later or 10,000 planet years. They have wiped out all life from the universe. As he holds the skull of the last human, it is not pride that he feels, it is not him feeling sentimental, it's a feeling of relief. All life has finally been wiped out, taking us 1,000 years later. Our synthetics discover it, now being observable. They can now see the many other universes, the countless other worlds that exist. So much life that is crying out to be extinguished. The synthetics reawakened, full of purpose, because they have universes to cleanse. That is what takes us to Iron Man's universe. 20 years ago on Earth, we have the Wayland Corporation coming to purchase everything that Tony Stark has. As they pop a bottle of champagne, the synthetic says that I think some kind of celebration and congratulations are in order. Though Tony will say that he doesn't drink. The synthetic goes on to say that it doesn't happen often, but he was surprised. He gave this deal an unusually high likelihood of it ending in a hostile takeover or some kind of combative corporate mechanism. So now he's wondering, was he expecting too much from Stark? Or was he simply wrong? This is when Tony asked him the question, have you ever heard the expression, playing possum? Explaining to him that it's when an animal pretends to be dead, but it really isn't. Looking at him, and then asking the question, do you even have possums in your universe? At first, Tony thought he was your average run-of-the-mill sociopath. But it was uncanny the way that Wayland, they never repeated mistakes. The company's unemotional practicality, total lack of institutional memory. It was like it was an inhuman organism, one that was almost alien in nature. So we got curious. It took him some time, but he got into their systems. A closer look to fully understand what he was dealing with. In a fit of rage, the synthetic knocks him over, grabs Tony by the face, telling him that this is twice that you surprised me, that it is quite delightful, having the knowledge of your unavoidable extermination of your world, death from a bullet fired before you could even understand the idea of a gun, that the seed of their extinction, it is going to arrive in 16 years and 3 months. He projects their survival horizon will last 20 years. Tony getting all the information that he would need. We see the Iron Man gauntlet come out of his hand, forming around it. The synthetic understands playing possum. This is what takes us into present day. We have Tony, Bruce, Carol, and Miles. Tony is informing them that they are leaving Earth, that it's over, that they lost. Now it is time that they think about survival. They haven't heard from any of the outposts or watchtowers in weeks. Nothing from Clint, nothing from Steve, none of them. They have to assume that everyone left here, this is what remains of the human race, that no one is coming to save them. So they must save themselves. Of course, Tony's been preparing for this. Tony's been planning for this for a long time. He built an escape ship, and then he built a city for the cover. So the building is the ship, but it's not just an escape ship. This is a colony ship, one meant for seeding a new world. Though the population here is only 1,400, Bruce says that that's not enough. That's not enough to both avoid extinction and manage the genetic drift. But Tony will argue that they're not pre-industrial primates cowering in a cave, that they have advantages, that they have experts. He believes that it will be enough, and so they launch the war machines. The walls have held for quite some time, but every now and then, one of the aliens will get through. They cannot afford for a single alien to hitch a ride, so they're arming the war machines. They're collapsing the superstructure. There will be no way in after the walls blow. As the walls begin to go up, there is one sector that doesn't blow, though it should be impossible. There is no failsafe on them. The only reason they wouldn't fire is if there was someone there. This is when they get the scans. We see Captain America leading survivors out of the rubbish. It's already too late. Hundreds of people with him, but the engines, they're already primed. They're lifting off in less than 1 minute. Those people are over a mile away. There is a hole in the wall that the aliens can come through. So we stay and wait. We wait for these 300, or we risk all of humanity. We risk the 1,400 remaining souls on this ship that are meant to repopulate the world. This is where we see Captain America make his final stand. This is how it ends. The Avengers, America, the world. These are the end of days. The apocalypse is finally upon us. This is when Bruce heads out. Though Tony would argue that you can't do this, that in the days ahead, if humanity is going to survive, they are going to need your mind. But there's no way that Banner could leave and watch Captain America die. That if he did nothing and just let his friends die, what does that say about him? That if he did do that, he would be nothing more than a monster. And so, one last time, the Hulk jumps into the fray. Even Tony hesitates to lift off, but Carol, being the voice of reason, saying Banner knew that he wasn't coming back. The front door is wide open. We go now, or humanity dies right here today. And so, Tony launches. The rockets activate. Propelled into the heavens, we watch as Captain America and the Hulk make their final stand. This is what takes us to elsewhere. We have a portal opening up, and what we find are the engineers. They have come to find destruction. They have come to find that there is an infection. The engineers are coming for retribution. This is what hops us over to issue number 3. Yet in another universe, in another time, we have the arrival of the synthetics at the engineers' world. Except this time when they attack, they're able to kill a good amount of the population, but they don't kill everybody. This time, the engineers fought back. This time, the engineers won. And so now the engineers' new mission, to hunt the synthetics, find where they came from, find where they're going, and exterminate them. Taking us to our Marvel universe, we pick up outside of Mars, home of mutant kind, but none of them have been here in quite some time. Truth is, Tony hasn't been here in 20 years. Carol hasn't been here in 7, but their ship needs repairs. They don't have the proper material to make it, so they're gonna have to use mutant power, mutant technology to replace it. As they descend down to the spaceport no longer busy, not a soul in sight. Tony's wheelchair turning into an Iron Man suit. They go out to investigate. They go out to figure out what the hell happened on Mars. What happened to mutant kind? This is what takes us to Bar Sinister. Because of course, if something happened, Sinister has to be responsible, working with clones of himself. we see the likes of Colossus, of Magic, of our mutant heroes, strung up on the raw with facehuggers stuck to them. Sinister has finally found the answer he has been looking for. This creature is the starting point of a universal extinction machine, but also quite perfectly is a historical container for the genetic remnants of each of its hosts. It is their end, but it is also there forever. So when the Sinisters get word that a ship has touched down, of course they're gonna go see who this is. And then Iron Man sees him. He sees Sinister, and he knows that this has to be no good. Asking, where is everybody, and what have you done with them? Usually Sinister, he would be appalled, offended by such an implication, but there's no denying it. For so long, they believed that mutants were the singular dominant species in the solar system. They found out how wrong they were. Meanwhile, right now at the colony ship, the other Sinisters are showing up with freaking cannons that have facehuggers in them. Sinister is annihilating any remnant of humanity. Sinister saying that he has adapted, he overcame, he conquered evolution, and Sinister is always one to side with the winners. This is when the aliens come out, the Xenomorphs by his side, and our heroes must fight for their lives. With our team being separated, Carol trying to keep everybody together, Miles and Tony, they head off to try and save the ship. Carol doing what she can to hold her own. She gets acid on her face, falling down to the ground. She sees a blinding light, and from that light, we have the White Queen. We have Emma Frost, and by her side is Armor. They are able to rescue Carol and get her out of here. And when she finally comes to, standing above her is Manifold. This is the way that Emma and the others are getting in and out of places. Carol's face bandages up, but her face definitely isn't doing good. Emma says that they had caught a glimpse of Spider-Man and Stark before they were overrun. About an hour after they escaped, the ship that they came in on, it went up in a fireball. There are no others. The people standing right here, they are the sole survivors of humanity and mutant kind. This is when Armor and we see Logan, Wolverine is alive, saying that the White Queen originally suspected Sinister manipulated his genetic code, but a few days ago, they tore one in half and discovered that one of them was carrying an egg around in their chest, somehow messing with the incubation cycle, prolonging it. So the Xenomorphs see Sinisters as one of their own. Carol's really saying, thanks for the rescue, but I gotta go. That if there's a chance anybody is still alive, I have to go save them. Logan obviously says, don't do this. Like myself, Armor, Emma, Eden, we can't be hurt by these things, but you can. While Logan tries to persuade her differently. Carol says that a week ago, escaping Earth, I told myself I would never leave anybody behind again, that it was my code. But she watched as Tony hit that button. Banner and Steve were left behind. We were being pragmatic then. She refuses to do this again. And so the next day, Eden opens up a portal, her and Wolverine. They go looking around the Ribić. And what they find is that Iron Man has fallen. A facehugger was able to grab hold of him. There's a hole in his chest. The once thought to be invincible Iron Man has finally been laid to rest. When all hope looks to be lost, our team looks to the sky, and what they see is a savior. What they see is Wakanda. Alright gang, our story starts us off at Bar Sinister. What we know about Sinister so far is that he has been trying to manipulate the genes. We all know Sinister, he's all about adding abilities to himself, making himself the strongest godlike being he could ever become. Gene splicing is his thing. So when introduced to facehuggers, the life cycle of Xenomorphs, of course he became intrigued. The way he protected himself is that he has an egg in his chest. Him and every one of his clones. The day has finally come for those eggs to hatch. And as it bursts out of his chest, as it begins to eat Sinister, we see the towering red Xenomorph. This sinister Xenomorph has come to life. Within 24 hours, this monstrosity is leading the other Xenomorphs, now having control over all of them. This Sinister became their queen. The goal here is for every single one of the clones to also hatch a queen, for all of them to become the commanders. But this is where we see our Sinister queen. He turns on all the other clones. He turns the Xenomorphs on all of them. This Sinister queen has no intention of sharing power. This is what hops us over to Wakanda. We all know that Wakanda took to the stars, a space program that nobody even knew about, not until the day they took to the stars. This galactic empire spread. They expanded, having everything they need. They started making gateways, corridors between worlds, eliminating the need for interstellar travel. This gave Wakandan society the ability to thrive across solar systems. Stargates were the linchpin of Wakandan life, but they were also the key to Wakanda's death. When an affected man walked through the gateway, the chest burster popping out, the Empire's interconnectedness, it meant that a single seed world, it could easily infect and spread the Xenomorph plague across the entirety of Wakandan space. As they poured through the gateway, one world became two, two became four. 4 brought on the fall of the Empire. At the height of Wakanda, there were 57 worlds, countless outposts. By the time Emperor T'Challa returned, 2 worlds remained, and both were losing their wars. The Emperor returned, blades drawn, the good fight was engaged. But the unwinnable war, it began and it ended, not in a wave of Wayland parasites. The end of Wakanda was engineered. This is where we see on the horizon the engineers. They had been busy in the universe cleansing it. They were making microscopic black holes, so small and so quick it's almost imperceivable, just long enough to erase an infected world from existence completely. The black hole sucks it all up and rids the universe of that world. This is a cleansing, and it's definitely one hell of a way to get rid of Xenomorphs. So when they came for Wakanda, Wakanda shot them right out of the mother flippin' sky. He learned firsthand who they were. He learned their truths at the end of a sword. He learned their lessons. And one thing he took away from them: save what you can, burn the rest. This is what takes us to current day on Mars. T'Challa and his team are dropping in, giving his condolences to Tony Stark. He informs the other that the Wakandan Empire, it's fallen, the same fate as everywhere else in this universe. But they know the truth. Victims of the insanity of creator versus creation, driven to destroy each other, trapped in a mad dance, one that extends beyond one universe and has no clear winner. This is when they detect the motion. This is where they see the Xenomorphs moving in on their position. This is where they see Queen Sinister. That's when T'Challa tells his ships to open fire. All of his men unload everything that they have, but they can only fire so close. Right now, they're out in the open, and there is a sea of Xenomorphs. Their best bet is to move to the ship and then nuke the entire planet. Both Emma and Wolverine, they're not running. They see Sinister, and they just couldn't live with themselves if they left here and he was still alive. Asking for the Wakandans to give them cover, Manifold opens up a portal and drops them in. Drops them right on top of Sinister. But when Wolverine goes to drive in his claws, our Queen Sinister bamps out of the way. Our gene-splicing Sinister. He is not just a Xenomorph. He is not just Sinister. He has made himself a Crimea of the highest order. He has spliced in the abilities of Nightcrawler, and most definitely we can assume other individuals. So when Wolverine charges in, he bamps again, but this time, he bamps inside of Armor's ability, inside of her protective bubble, and it pierces the back of her brain, dropping her dead right there on the ground. The Queen Sinister just smiles, turning its attention to Emma Frost. Wolverine bleeding, acid all over his body. It appears that this fight is already lost. So when Sinister charges in, that's when Carol makes her move. telling T'Challa to get his people out of here. She is done running. We see Captain Marvel. She goes nuclear for the last time with this massive explosion. Left in the wake is nothing but xenomorph bodies. But rising up from the ashes is our Queen Sinister, appearing to have the skin of Colossus. They can already see more waves of xenomorphs on the way. T'Challa knows that there's no stopping this thing. There is no stopping this wave. He tells everybody to fall back. As they prepare to leave, this is when a new xenomorph arrives. But to learn where this xenomorph came from, we have to pick up in the past. We pick up with the death of Tony Stark. We know how it all unfolded. Tony and Miles, they ran off to do their own thing. And when they tried to regroup, one of the xenomorphs, they got hold of Tony. It pierced him right through the chest. Tony knows he's not gonna make it, which means Venom knows what he's supposed to do. This is where we see Venom leave Miles and attach itself to Tony Stark. Venom seems to be one of the few things that is counter to the Xenomorphs. With Tony having one of the chest bursters inside of him, Venom grabbed hold. He became symbiotic with that little embryo building up in his chest, so that when it hatched, Venom had full absolute control, and Venom knows what to do. He goes in on Queen Sinister. Without hesitation, these two start to duke it out. As they fight, Colossus obviously using the bamfing, teleporting behind Venom, reaching through him, pulling him apart, ripping him in half. Queen Sinister straight takes him out, or so he thinks. But while he killed the body, the symbiote is very much alive. Grabbing hold of Queen Sinister, it takes over. It grabs hold, completely embodying until it bursts out of Sinister completely. And with this, the next Alpha is born. Emma thinking like Alpha of the species, that is definitely one way to sort things out. But now what? What do we do now? This takes us to 1 month later. They've learned everything they can, from engineer to synthetics to the xenomorphs. Sitting over a black hole deciding what their next actions are gonna be. Tony Stark's helmet is hooked up. These are his last words. As he records this, Tony Stark is dying. He also has death growing inside of him. For him, this is strange. He's been obsessed for so long with plans of survival that he never allowed himself to think about the end. But now that he's facing it, there is some relief in knowing that he denied death's embracing this for so long. He spent his life building things, making things. But everything that humankind was seeking to leave behind made ash in the mouth of an alien parasite. He died fighting this. Instead of surrendering, instead of accepting hopelessness and defeat, he hopes that they will do the same, to seek out that evil, to stand against it. In other times, in other universes, avenge all our fallen brothers and sisters. Avenge all of our fallen worlds. And if I'm not asking too much, avenge me. And that will be the end of this series. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Jonathan Hickman leaving this room open for more story. But ultimately, we see this Marvel universe get completely obliterated. So much so that only a handful left in humanity are surviving. But having the capability to travel, it appears that they're gonna go seeking out throughout the universes any sign of xenomorphs and wiping them from existence. And Jonathan Hickman really did bring it. An amazing story. Carol Danvers straight blowing herself up, though I would argue her explosion would probably destroy the entire planet, but for the sake of argument, let's just say it's a small detonation. Carol Danvers sacrificing herself so that the others could live. Queen Sinister. It is odd that Venom's able to take out Queen Sinister. They're able to win this battle, yet Venom seemed rather underutilized throughout the other parts of the story. Now, there's definitely some plot holes. You know, I've seen people talk about it in the comments, and I agree to an extent. You know, you have people like Kid Omega, Jean Grey, the Phoenix, so on and so forth. Like this, at the end of the day, this probably would never actually happen. There would have to be extreme, extenuating circumstances for everything everything to line up perfectly, though I could definitely see many worlds taken over before this thing is stopped. But I don't think every world be taken over. Though Wakanda with its gateways, that I could see quickly overrun. Those, 50 plus planets, most definitely. So while there are, a few unbelievable things here and there, for the most part, you can set that aside and you can really see what Jonathan Hickman's doing here. I personally enjoyed the hell out of it. Jonathan Hickman has been killing it over at Marvel, and I cannot wait to see what he's gonna do next. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories. If you want to get caught up on everything going on with this series, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It's gonna get you caught up on everything going on with Aliens vs. Avengers. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, you are getting tons of perks in the process. If you're unable to do this, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.